Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Floor 26 podcast, the show made by young people for everybody. My name's Adam Duffy, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. Please welcome Z Lister.
Hey, listen. nice to see y'all.
How you doing, Z?
Doing well.
How's your day been? You told me about it earlier that you've been pretty productive all day.
Yeah, been on the move. woke up at like 4:30 actually.
in the AM?
Yeah, it was an interesting day. I got super excited, and like when you're about to kind of like you're a kid in middle school or something, and you're about to go on a field trip the next day. You kind of can't sleep the night before. So that was the feeling today. I woke up 4:30. Didn't mean to. I was gonna go back to sleep. Then I went on YouTube, kind of found this beat that I really liked. Wrote a little song to it, and then kind of got rolling on the morning. Had to do a little bit of development work in the morning, which I'll tell you more about that in a bit. But had to do some development work, and then in the afternoon got a little studio session in. Then went back home, changed. Oh, I got my twist done this morning too.
For sure.
That was like a big thing. I've never really worn like twists before, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, now I'm here.
Sounds like a day. I mean, I saw on your Instagram story like 10 minutes before you showed up, just you in like the studio. I don't know if that was from today. I was like, damn, he's a busy guy.
Yeah, that was a couple hours ago. Sure.
Damn, wow, from one studio to another.
There you go.
Well, I'm glad you could join us. The peak of my day before this obviously was cooking salmon actually for lunch.
Salmon's good. you ever had that bourbon salmon from Publix?
I have not.
Dude.
Is it good?
Bourbon salmon. I cut it like real thin, and then I just like pan fry it.
Oh, that sounds pretty sweet. Sounds pretty sweet. My girlfriend just calls me at like noon, and she just says, "Dude, I have this salmon in my fridge, and it has to like get cooked today, and I'm coming over." And I'm like, "Okay." And when she says, we have to cook it today, it's like, yeah, I cook it all, and I never cooked salmon before. I barely even eaten salmon before. Actually, it's like my third time.
Okay.
And so I don't know what I'm doing. Turned out well though, and
it's
I'm
good.
glad.
Salmon's healthy, bro.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
You feel lean afterwards.
It's like better than like red meat,
Yeah.
But so Z, it's been I guess actually before I go into anything like this, just talk about how we met. Kind of a funny circumstance.
Yeah.
It was about 4 months ago. I'm just living my life. I'm about to, in a few hours, I'm about to go to a party with my girlfriend, like a birthday party. And yeah, and then I got a call from our mutual friend. I don't know how well you know her, but Julia.
Yeah.
I got a call from her, and I'm like, Adam. It's like, Adam, can you come on set like right now? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like an hour away. I haven't showered all day, but I'm like, yeah, I'll make it. And so she sends me the address. I'm like, damn, it's in like College Park. That's crazy. And so I don't know what I'm expecting, but I go. And I show up to this abandoned like school building or something like that, and there's just enormous like crew here, like 30, 40 people maybe, and it's for one of your music videos.
Yeah.
And I guess it's for one of your songs off of your latest project, and I guess just tell me like, how did that come to be? How'd you start working with all those guys?
Yeah, so it was so funny. I was like, so I remember I'd started doing music and doing a lot of shows in Tallahassee, and started picking up confidence and just like feel like I was getting people down there to listen, like kind of building out like this little fan base. And but it was a whole thing where I lived here in Atlanta, and I was always trying to find like that first opportunity to perform here. And actually this place called the GT Musicians Network from Georgia Tech. They had been doing like a lot of shows and stuff, and I was always like, oh, it's cool, like let me just like let me see what's up with them. And I just hit them. I was like, let me perform for you. And like it was funny because they just like, I don't think they saw the DM or anything, but I think a couple of them had like followed me or something. And I dropped this tape called The Mellow Yellow, and that had a lot of content with it, and it I think it did really well. And I remember they DM'd me out of nowhere. They were just like, oh, we have this open slot for the show one night. And I pulled up to the show, did the show, got invited by one of the kids to from the show afterwards to this frat party. And so we went to that, And at that frat party, met some like just like kids who like weren't Georgia Tech kids. They were just like very clearly like artsy kids. And I was like, these kids have to go to SCAD. And you know, we started like, you know, chopping it up with them. And one of them is this rapper, and he was kind of just we were just going back and you know, kind of back and forth on music. His name's K9, and it was kind of just funny because I was just like, oh cool, like met some kids from SCAD that night. Like you know, I go home like that was cool, you know. And I wake up the next morning and I get this DM from this kid, and it's just like in my request, and he's like, hey, like, you don't know me or anything. And I was just like, oh, no, like what is this about to be? And he's just like, hey, you don't know me or anything. My name is Manas. Yeah. And, you know, I have this, like, music video for this class. And I was just like, okay, like, what's up? He's like, I want to shoot you for it. And then I was like, damn, cool. And I was like, how'd you find out about me? He's like, actually, my friend told me about you, K9. And then it was funny. He was like, and then like my friend had told me about you, but then like I took you serious when I saw my roommate had followed you too. Which to this day I still don't know how the roommate like knew about me, but you know, from there, and we got on this little Instagram call. Just like I saw he was like a super ambitious kid. Yeah. And I was just like, damn, like bro's got it. And you know, he just kind of took the wheel of everything. And out of nowhere, this kid sends me like a GoFundMe link, and it has like me on it. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my, like. They just made it under my name. Wow. It wasn't like under my name, but they were just like, you know, help fundraise this music video. They ended up, you know, fundraising like $1,700.
Holy shit.
And that's how like he's just so serious about it too. Like, you know, he's like, you're the talent, like you should like be focused on just like the art, like tell me your vision. And he took the whole drive on that. And then, you know, me still not knowing what I'm pulling up on, he starts sending me like all these things, like a call sheet and all these terms
He's
that I
being
didn't.
Very thorough.
He was being very, very thorough. And I pull up and there's like 15 people. We do like location scouting, like all that stuff. He just did the whole 9 yards. Wow. And like, you know, it ended up being like such a beautiful moment for me. Like that was like, I think one of the first moments where I was like, oh damn, like this shit is real.
Yeah.
You know? And it was beautiful too, just kind of seeing like how like serious they took it. Like it felt so serious. Like one of the people who was like an extra was like, oh, like, did your label do this for you? And I'm like,
to get a question like that,
I'm like,
just like,
I was flattered. I was like, oh my gosh, like they think there's a label behind this, you know?
When I walked in, I had similar thoughts. I was like, I mean, they say I think Julia mentioned it's like a music video and stuff like that, and so I don't know what I'm pulling up to, but I was definitely, my expectations were definitely like exceeded. It was very interesting. That's so interesting. I mean, Manas is a great guy. At least from I've met him I had met him like twice before that set, and he's just super nice, and you know, based on how you speak of him, I can definitely corroborate that he's super hardworking, super like talented. And that's so interesting because, I mean, the whole reason I know any of them is because my girlfriend, Julia, is my girlfriend's best friend. And so, like,
right.
For two opposite sides of me and you to, like, come together for this in this strange sort of context is very interesting to me.
Oh, my gosh. It's, like, it's beautiful. This is, like, how it happens. Also, shout out that crew. They held it down. Like,
they did.
That was, like, a 2-day shoot, bro. Like, we couldn't find extras at one point, and that's when we started, like, these people, they started going out into the neighborhood and looking for extras.
Like knocking on doors?
They literally knocked on someone's door. It's funny, like, they knocked on someone's door. The person said no. And then this random couple pulled up because the girl had gone there as a kid to the elementary school because it was at an abandoned school. Yeah. And they were just kind of like reminiscing. Oh. And he just ended up, he's like, hey, do you guys want to be in this music video? And they were just like, well, like, I guess. So it was like, I don't know, bro. It was just super humbling to see just like that whole thing come together.
Yeah, because I came in, you know, in like the later afternoon, and I was there for maybe 3 or 4 hours, but people were telling me how they'd been there for already like 6 or 7 hours. And like, when did what was call time, I guess, on that day?
Shoot, like, so I want to say we pulled up maybe around like 9 or 10.
Jesus.
And like we left around like probably 10 or 11 at night. And that was day 2 of shooting. Yeah. And then like I was thinking about like Manas and the crew because they got to be there like 4 or 5 hours before to set up. Mm-hmm. They got to be there like an hour or two after to break down.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, that's very impressive on their part, and I mean, I guess that's the industry standard, you know. That's how it goes. So the fact that they're putting in hours like that, it's very impressive.
Yeah, no, it's like I've gained, feel like this last year just kind of being like, you know, introduced to this artistry, and like, you know, people doing their own things, like they're, you know, like everyone has their own world, like video, like audio, like me, like music, and it's like, it's such a crazy thing. Like there's a lot of hours put into this, you know, and like I think it's almost like I don't know, like I didn't even know that's how many hours gone, like going to shooting like a music video, like that shit was long, you know, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was one of like the best sets I'd ever been on. I thought everyone was working super well. I mean, my experience was I didn't have to do any of the heavy lifting. My experience was just sort of funny. You know, I show up, Julia's like, "Oh, hey, Adam, what's up?" And then like immediately tells me to start stripping. She tells me to take my shirt off, and because she looks at me.
They had you in that mink.
Yeah, they did. She looks at me and she says, like, she points at my outfit and she's like, "That's not gonna work." And so she has me take off my shirt, and then she like grabs this random coat from somebody. I don't know where she never. I still don't know who it was or where she got it. But she like says, like, she holds it out to me. She's like, "Put this on." And then she tells me to take off my hat too, and I put this on, and this coat's nice. It's like expensive, feels like pretty comfortable, but it's like something you'd wear if it was like 30 degrees out. That day it was like 95, and so instantly I start like sweating my ass off, which I just thought was super funny. And the fact that I'm just like shirtless, guys, like around all these people that I do not know, I thought that was really funny. But yeah, and I was just an extra. But I mean, yeah, just meeting everybody. You know, everyone was super friendly, super chill. It was honestly like everyone like helped create like a pretty great environment there. Yeah, definitely remember. And I remember like the first take. I wasn't part of it. It was you know, it was one of the scenes where it was like the opening scene where you're getting handed like the cash out of the bowl and stuff like that. Yeah. I just remember like the song playing and I see you perform and I'm like, damn, this song's pretty good. This music's pretty good. And like that's like my initial thought. And so you know, day wraps. You know, we say our goodbyes, and instantly I start looking you up, and it's like, oh damn, like this guy's like great. I listened to Mellow Yellow. Right after that, and I was like, God damn, like no, Mellow Yellow was like a really good project. Like I can't lie. I don't mean to like shine your wheels. I mean, obviously, like it was a really good project, really well done.
Thank you.
But speaking of like your projects this year, you know, it's been just about 3 months since the Therapy Tales were released, right? It was the beginning of June. Yeah. How has those 3 months been for you? How's the reception been to that project?
Man, the reception's been good. Like, I think I'm at the point where I'm really honing in on the craft.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really finding the sounds that I like enjoy to create, and the sounds that like sound good on the other side of that, like on the final version of songs. So, you know, that project for me like is very low budget. Like, you know, I recorded it all. My friend, producer named Catalyst, real name Matt Home. He it was so funny. I was back in Tallahassee. I didn't even live there because I lived here in Atlanta, and you know, my girlfriend now. I was like, we're not like, it's a long story, but I was kind of like staying at her place, and like just like I'd like, you know, visit, go back and forth type of thing, and like it was funny because Matt had come up to me after one of like I did this show in February, like a Valentine's Day show, and man, like this kid came up to me just like after my set, and like people like that's like such a great way to meet people, like after a set or something. I feel like it's just like a prime time, like because you just went on and like people are curious, you know. So like a couple people came up to me, and like, you know, it's always like pretty cool. Like usually like, you know, a few producers will come up to me, a few other artists, and like, oh, let's collaborate, or let's work. But this one kid, like Matt, he you know, I'm gonna tell a redacted version of the story. But he was holding a little something, and he like walks over to me, and we just like kind of talking, and like some girl like taps on his like shoulder. She's like, Matt, like blah 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 blah, and he looks at her, turns and says, hey, can't you see that I'm here with Z-lister right now? And then he just turned
He
around.
name drops you.
Yeah, and I started dying laughing. I was like, oh my god, like this kid is like this kid just like makes me. It just makes I enjoy laughing, and like god damn it, like he got me right in that moment, and I remembered him ever since. And I was like I enjoyed being around, bro. Like let me hit him up, because he was like, oh, if you ever like are in town, like you can record at my crib. So then, like I said, I was going back and forth.
Yeah.
And, the idea came to me. I was like, damn, I'd been in therapy for about like 4 or 5 months at the time. Felt like I had learned a lot. And I just hit him. I was like, yo, bro, like, what if we, like, sit down over a few weekends and just do a project? Just, like, grind it out over a month's time. So, like, over, like, I went there probably, like, 2 or 3 different weekends over a month. And we made that project in that time. And, like, I was going there and like putting some serious like, damn, I remember I'd like tap in on like a Saturday and just like, hit the studio like 8, 9, 10 hours at a time with him, and just like be at his crib kind of like perfecting it. Even like slept there a couple times. And it was just this, it was like this really beautiful moment. And me and him grew close off of that. But yeah, shout out him. He's the reason that project's happened.
Wow. So you're bouncing between Tallahassee and ATL for a month? Or
so like I was doing the bouncing around for a lot longer.
Oh yeah.
Relative to the project, it was 1 month of back and forth.
Jesus.
But it was just like, but I like making my projects like that, bro. Like I liked like I like writing my stuff before having my demos, and then going in the studio and knocking it out and then putting a project out.
You should have to like grind it out. You like working like intensely for a shorter period of time rather than extending that out.
Yeah, and it was funny though, cause like the Mellow Yellow, I remember like, I was kind of in before I wrote that, I was in a place where I was writing this project called Ego Trip, Ego Death, and the Rebirth of Z.
Wow.
And it was it was only my second project, and I think it was too ambitious at the time, but I didn't notice it. Like I'm just like, I had just dropped my first like whatever, and 2 months later I'm thinking about this big album with big release, and shit just started like taking over me, bro. I started writing like really bad music. And like I remember I'd been going through some things, and like I remember my manager called me one day, and he just like, I sent him a demo, and he's like, bro, stop making music right now. And I was like, what do you mean? Like I'm just trying to get my emotions out. He's like, no, bro, like sit in what you're feeling right now, like let it sit, and just like go watch a movie, like take a walk, like do whatever. Do not write music for the next X amount of time. And like he's like, don't do it until you feel inspired again. And I was like, okay, true. I wasn't even inspired. I was just writing. I was just looking at beats and writing. And like, 2 weeks passed, and I remember I went home for Thanksgiving break, and I was like, at the time I was like working out of these little WeWorks. I was working this job I didn't like, but I was just like posted up at every WeWork, just trying to enjoy the vibes. And I woke up one morning, and I found this one beat on YouTube, wrote a song to it, found another one, wrote a song to it, found another one, wrote a song to it. And the Mellow Yellow ended up being written in like 3.5 hour span after not having like written any music for like a few weeks.
The entire EP in just a few hours?
Entire EP.
Wow.
And it was funny because that was in November, bro. And then I remember I went back to Atlanta right after, and I had like this little blue microphone, and like I wrote I recorded all of the demos for it. And part of me as an artist, I'm just like, damn, shit's done. Like I want to like release this. But then I was like, damn, I don't like, this shit is like so, this project feels so special to me, and it feels like it just has so much potential behind it that like I'm doing myself a disservice by not getting this, like by not going to the studio and doing it, like doing the full 9
doing
yards.
it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So remember I started recording at so I hit up my friend Tyler Densla. He's the head of KOTP recording down in Tallahassee. And told him the idea. He's like, yeah, bro, I have some availability in January. And at the time, yeah, like I didn't live in Tallahassee, so I'm trying to get like, I told him, bro, I have demos. I'm trying to get this recorded in like a week span. And he was just like, I got you, but in January. So I waited and I waited, bro, and I started building out this aesthetic and this theme and the story behind it. And it all came together very beautifully. And I was able to like, I went to that studio. Like I remember I had like 7 or 8 hours total to record the whole thing. just went in there, bro, with a hot cup of tea.
I was gonna say,
knocked it out.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, for a project like that, I mean, maybe same way, and you walk into a music video set, you don't understand how much work goes into that. I look at a EP, I look at an album, I don't know how much work can go into that, but to think that you wrote it in a few hours and recorded it in another few hours is really impressive. And I can imagine you value that, your manager being like honest with you and like kind of telling you to step away from it and take a breather, like
Yeah, bro.
Those are the kind of people that like you really need.
That's what I'm telling you. Grant. So Grant's the name of my manager. He's like full-time manager, full-time therapist. Like, he holds it down on all fronts. He's just like a very rational thinking human. I appreciate, the world out of him. And it's been like cool to like, sometimes I'd be like, just like bugging out a little, about to make like the wrong choice. And I know he always like slows me down and just like, all right, like, think about this next move, like in this artistry stuff, like just think about it a little more.
Yeah.
And he always like, sometimes where I'll be like, I pick up something, I'm like, let's get it done. And like, he's like, all right, my boy, like sit on it for a little,
Yeah, that's super valuable. I can only hope that we all have somebody like that. But for me, that's my co-host Parsa, actually, the one who unfortunately couldn't make it today. He's the one who's always like, especially in stuff related to the show, I'm always the one like thinking of like way like over ambitious things to do, like stuff that we could not execute with the time we have or the resources we have, and he's always the one to help slow me down and like bring me down to earth, which is very important for anyone trying to make anything. But no, that's yeah, super sweet. And I guess, going into the Mellow Yellow, how what kind of, when you're saying you're developing this story around it, like I know there was like this big project around it. The website was super sweet, all the merch that was there. So like what kind of in your mind was the genesis behind that all? Like why'd you go for that idea? Because you said, your work, like you get a little burnt out and you're told to step away, and then you come back with this an EP called The Mellow Yellow, and it's all like very like relaxing kind of music. Was that part of it?
Yeah, like, well, so honestly, like I was going through this breakup, and like shit sucked. And like, I was just like, I was down in dumps about it. And I remember like, I started feeling, bro, like just this like you get through that part of a breakup where it's like, okay, you're over like kind of those like like angry feelings, sad feelings, and you're just more like, you're just kind of like serene about it. Like you're like, you've accepted everything, and instead of being like, oh damn, I feel blue, because like people are like, I feel blue, I was like, I feel sad, and you're past that part where you feel sad about it. Now you're just like, you're kind of getting over it in this healthy way of just like learning to let things go, learning to let things be. And yellow is a color that promotes like very much like happiness and like optimism, positivity, like very like future leaning color.
Yeah.
And then mellow, when you've been like mellowed out by your experiences. So like the mellow yellow. So it's like it's like the story behind it is like, okay, how do we look at a breakup as something that's like not bad? Like how can we look at this from like an appreciative point of view regarding something like a relationship? And then it's like, okay, I also like really like when I was writing it, I was like, damn, I don't want to just write, like, as a straight dude, I don't want to be like, oh, she this, she that. And like I started thinking about like pop music and like why sometimes like you relate to a song, even if it's sung like, by like a guy or girl, or like, whatever it is. But I think a big reason people connect to things is because it's like the pronouns. So like instead of being like, she or he, I made that whole project from the tense of like you and I. Yeah. And then it's like it creates this genderless experience that everyone can enjoy.
Yeah, more applicable to any listener.
Yeah, and like
I think super important.
I think that was something I took from like right out of the Blonde book, Frank Ocean.
Oh
like,
yeah.
He like like Blonde is such an album where like it leaves space for you to like interpret and like insert your own memories. And I wanted the mellow yellow, the mellow yellow to be that. So like that's why it's kind of general. It talks more about feelings rather than like a specific experience. But yeah, that was the genesis of that project. That was a crazy time.
Wow. Okay. That's super interesting. And then I'm thinking about, some of the songs off of there, Four Seasons. Like is a song like that specifically about that breakup and moving past that?
Yeah, like, times passed. I don't recall the reasons we couldn't see Four Seasons.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. I was super curious. I've been curious about that ever since I listened to the project. But my favorite song off of that, by the way, is Pixie Fairy. I play that on repeat.
Thank you.
It's really good.
That's
I highly recommend.
That's my jump around song. I was like,
yeah,
I need like a hype finish. It's just like, it's like the finish, like the high energy finish.
Yeah.
Like we've gotten through the mud of it. Now it's like
you need that at the end.
We need that.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's a good send off.
Yeah. So you make the Mellow Yellow that comes out in March, and then it's 4 months later is when the Therapy Tales come out. And you said you're talking about how starting to go to therapy for a few months before that, and that's sort of the motivator for a lot of those a lot of the songs, a lot of the lyrics. And I'm curious, your experience, was that something that was difficult for you to sort of translate? One, I mean, just going to therapy in general, like I know that can be a hard thing for a lot of people, but then translating that into music, did you find that process difficult?
Yeah, I think like, it was so crazy how that came about. I started going to therapy, about the time I wrote the Mellow Yellow. Mm-hmm. So like, I'd been going through some things, and one of the big things I was going through, bro, was like, people, it's a good point to highlight. Like, people always say, you see on TikTok, like, go move to a big city and like, this and that. And like, bro, like, you know what they don't tell you? It's lonely on the other side when you first get there.
Yeah.
And like, I was just like, I came to Atlanta, like, very, like very much not wanting to like commit to here because of like a million other things, But it was hard at first. I didn't know many people. But, kind of giving that time, that was like, I think that was like the peak of that. And then I worked this job that I hated, bro. And like, I felt like my talents were going to waste. They like didn't care about me. I like, I was like iffy about the job, and it wasn't genuine. It wasn't real. It wasn't anything special. And I was, I was just going through it, and decided to like go to therapy. And that was like such a beautiful healing experience. I started like I started looking at things differently. Like sometimes I'll feel like I'm a certain way, and I don't know I didn't know where that came from, or like I didn't know how to even address that. And I started like at one point in therapy, it's like, okay, look at like your past and how your past affects you, and like your environment, how you grow up, like that is you. Mm-hmm. People learn to break that, but like for the most part, like we're all just so like defined by our early environment.
Yeah,
so
we're
like,
products of that.
Yeah, so like I'll see like, how I'll do something, and then now I'm like, now I go home and I'll peep how my mom does something, and I'll be like, oh, that's where I got that from. But the therapy thing was just beautiful. It was so funny how I found it. I was like just desperate, just trying to find someone that same day, and I just called a bunch of places. Found this one spot. It was like 40 minutes away, and I thought it was Peachtree Street. It was Peachtree City. So it was
2 very different
40
things,
minutes away, and I was on a flip phone at the time.
Wow.
So I'm pulling up the flip phone, Google Maps on the flip phone. Shit's lagging out, shit's bugging. And I'm getting there. I'm like 20 minutes late. Like I'm like walking in, like pacing, like, but ever since then, I think I went once a week, and just let things out, and realize I think I entered this space of observation rather than action, and I learned a lot about myself, and that's what the Therapy Tales was about. I think one of the biggest things I to this day deal with is body positivity stuff, and I think that was almost one of the things I don't go at the moment at therapy. Almost one of those things that was still kind of unresolved, but I think in terms of everything else, I don't know, I just started seeing things different. I also started realizing there's no end to therapy. There's no end to the problems. There's only you just learn to you just just gain a little knowledge, and like, you know, you feel comfortable enough to stop going for a bit, and you know, that's where I'm at right now. But yeah, I guess not to ramble, but yeah, I learned a bunch, and it's just been cool to like understand myself better.
Yeah, and no matter how sort of stable you feel you can be, um, there's a point where, you know, no amount of just you being there, just no amount of just you will be able to really like understand all the things that may be going on. You have to have an outside perspective, and you know, like you're talking about, you know, being products of our environments. You know, I never thought that I was like too much like my parents or like my siblings, and then you know, girlfriend starts like coming over to the house more often, and then like immediately it's just like, you are so much like them.
Yep.
Like you are definitely like their kid. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. And you know, just something as simple as that, just realize to help you realize that something you wouldn't be able to realize on your own. And so I think therapy, you know, as you know, stigmatized as it might be, it's obviously getting better nowadays, but I think it's a valuable resource for the sake of just having somebody that can like look at you and like kind of like take the things that you couldn't see yourself and show them to you.
That's bro, and that's the thing. So I remember I told my therapist one day, I'm just like, I remember I was rambling about something. Maybe I just was like, I remember, bro, the first few times that I went to therapy, my therapist told me nothing. She was just listening. And I remember I was so frustrated. I was just like, dude, I remember I told a few people, I was like, she doesn't get me. Like, I don't think I'm going to go back. And then I went back the next time, and I was like, if she doesn't tell me anything this time, like I'm not coming back. And I ended up, like, I kind of, like, asked her, I'm like, what do you think? And then she's like, oh, like, do you know what my job is? And I'm like, well, your job is tell me, like, you know,
tell me what's wrong with me.
Tell me what's wrong. And she's like, well, like, my job as a therapist is to process your trauma for you from this outside perspective. So I have to understand like everything, or the most that I need to at that moment, and process it for you the way that I've been taught to process things. Cause like, bro, you get too close to yourself, and it's like sometimes you like trick yourself into a spot. You'll trick yourself into thinking like things are a certain way, or there's no way out, or like this and that. And like the job of a therapist is to like use their knowledge from school, you know, their PhD, all this, take your trauma from like this third person perspective, understand it, and like understand the things around it, and then process it for you. But they don't tell you what to do. They just almost like they start asking you questions. They start telling you like subtle things.
Yeah. They don't just like receive that, handle it, and then give it back to you. They present it to you in an open way that doesn't, you know, make you feel like you're having things forced upon you, which is important to the whole, you know, trusting relationship between a patient and a therapist. And and you're completely right. It just, you know, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. You know, you're too close to your own problems to really understand them, and so you need someone that can look at them for what they are. And I'm glad you've been able to see the value in that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It's like, Chris, are we all good on system? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we're set.
All right.
I had a question about your music and how like the visual part of it comes to play. Like, how do you think about it, or is it someone external that tells you, oh, this is how you should do it this way? Or
so like I try to build just a very strong aesthetic, so people kind of know what's up with me as soon as they meet me, and I think that's worked out really well. But actually, like, first person I ever shot videos with, Andrew Strickland, shout out him. He's about to be involved heavy on this next project. But that is, bro, that's like, I'm falling on sword for bro, you know. And it's funny, like I'd been working with him at this place called the Innovation Hub at Florida State, and I remember I was just about to drop my first project called For Demonstration Purposes Only. And I remember, bro, like, I went up to this kid very frantic. Bro, sometimes when I'm excited about something, I get, like, frantic almost. Not frantic, I don't know if frantic's the right word, but just, like, overly eager. Like, I'll be like, and I remember he was just working, and he's the chillest kid, bro. Like, Drew's just like, yeah, like, you know. He's just, like, a very, very chill kid. I love it. And, like, I'm very much, like, if I get excited about something, I'm, like, running about it. I remember I went up to him, and I was like, I always like to talk to the new interns, and I was just like, oh, what do you do? Blah blah blah. He's like, oh, like, my name's Drew, study media. I really like music videos. I really want to shoot music videos. And I was like, no shit, like, I'm about to drop my first music project like soon.
Yeah.
And I showed him some demos, and he was like, oh, yeah, this is cool, man. This is cool. He's just like, yeah, like hit me up if you ever want to like shoot. And I remember I got back, like I went to Panama. I got back from Panama. I hit him up right away. I was like, yo, my boy, like let's shoot. Like I'm ready. And he ended up shooting, 3 music videos for that project.
Wow.
And like he was like, bro, it was like this beautiful process where like we went up to Atlanta, we did some videos in Tallahassee, and like I was just like, I remember I would go over to his crib a couple days after we shot, and we'd just sit down and edit them, and like
just on
like,
the spot.
Yeah, and like sometimes he'd like a lot of the time, of course it was just like him, but he'd just be like, oh bro, like this or that type of thing, and he just understood my aesthetic really really well. And like I think I worked really hard to like gather a lot of assets beforehand, so he kind of understood the vibe and the direction, and he took it from there.
Yeah, I was actually listening to For Demonstration Purposes Only earlier today, because I listened to it once through when I first started listening to you, and then I just was refreshing, watching like the music videos for it, and it's just it is, you talked about it a little before, but like the way your sound has developed over time, it's definitely had certain characteristics that are the same, but it's definitely gotten like different, stuck to like certain things, and you've gone a little further away from others. And I guess just in your mind, how do you look back at a project like that, and how like is it one of those things where would you cringe at yourself, or do you accept it for what it is?
It was the most beautiful project I've ever made. Like I think For Demonstration Purposes Only is the best reflection of myself.
Really?
Yeah, bro. I remember like when I was recording that, bro, like man, like it was my first time ever really rapping, bro, and I had no basis. Like I didn't have any sort of like, there's no music industry, there's no nothing. Like bro, it was just like sit at the crib, get the microphone, and just like record over these beats that Dylan was sending me. Dylan's one of my best friends since high school. And like bro, he just took such special care of that project, and like the project is so experimental to me that I just like, that will forever just have like these, like that was like the perfect introduction project.
Yeah.
And I know since then, like, the sound has developed in this way where like I think like my personal sound has matured. Because it was such like a, like if you look at the production on like For Demonstration Purposes Only, like the beats are like slapping me in the face. Not like I mean they're they're just like that, bro. Like the like Dylan had been making beats for so long.
Yeah.
And like he was so good at it that like that production, bro, like helped me have this like almost like this safe space for me to like express myself, because no matter what, like the sound selection was there.
Yeah.
So like
you have the freedom in that.
Yeah. So like it was cool working with him, and like bro, he put me on game. He taught me everything he knew in terms of just like how this stuff works and how to record. So like I'm forever grateful, and we haven't like I think had too many collaborations since then, but like I know we're gonna circle around to it. But it's definitely been a thing of like, man, sometimes I think about it, I'll listen to like, I will be honest, like I think the last half of that project I rushed more than the first half. I didn't rush it, but just like the first half to me, bro, like the first 4 songs is just, that's like my like best sequence of songs.
Really?
And,
you think so?
Yeah, I really do. And the last half, I think like that's when I thought more about finishing the project and just like getting it off on time and stuff. Not that it was like a huge factor, but I just think man, that project is forever special. And I think it's a thing with time, like I think like it's like a thing like like if I go to a show now, like I'm trying to perform my new stuff, and like of course still like bangers off the old shit, but it's like I think every artist like develops. But I hate it when artists like, I don't know, I heard it like love Gambino, but like he's done the other day, he was like, oh, like I hate camp. Like I don't know where I heard that. It could have been false, but like long story short, like if he said that, I'm just like, damn bro, like I love camp, like I'm a fan of yours. Like, I thought that shit was good. So it's like I think everyone, bro, like sticks to something different with every project. Like I got a couple people that are like, For Demonstration Purposes Only are my favorite, and I'm like, kudos.
You
like,
can respect that.
Yeah, I can respect it, bro. So like I don't know, but long story short, love the project.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Really, like what you're saying about just like a solid like style with like those beats. It was very. I felt that. Like I felt it was very well produced in that department.
Yeah, and like shout out Shriek and Dreamer for that. That's Dylan's producer name. Just awesome. And it was, bro, if you've seen the mic that we recorded, have you ever seen the blue snowball mic?
Yeah, there's like sits on a stand, big sphere. You recorded the whole thing.
That's what that was. We recorded that on the snow on the meatball. I call it.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
good.
we
That's a
recorded
good
that
way.
on
That's
the
a good way to
meatball.
put it.
But
It's a classic.
yeah, no, definitely classic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, like, and you know, I ask you that because I guess it's a little different in this context, but you know, I look back at episodes of this from like a year ago, not a year ago because we've been off for a year, but like episodes from like our first 20 episodes, and it's just like I look back at that, and it's hard for me not to look at that critically and just say like, like, you know, I wasn't very good at talking. I wasn't like some of my ideas just were not developed at the time, and so I have that sense about me. But I mean, like I slowly over time get more and more like I look back at myself. It's like that's like a kid, you know. Like he's got, you know, he's like if he had to be the way he is for me to be the way I am now, like it was worth it.
That's the thing. That's why that's where my point of view comes from. Like I like as an artist who's trying to develop, I look back at every project and I'm like, my boy, you didn't get it done. That's how I'm looking back on everything. Shit, songs I made last week, I'm like, damn. Like
last week.
But it's just like, and it ain't like that. But you know what I mean. But like, I think like being able to be like critical of yourself while also having that like appreciation. That's what I'm big on now, bro. Gratitude. Like I'm so grateful right now for like just like everything in front of me.
Yeah. That's a good. I mean, it's a good. Well, yeah. Two things. One, you know, being critical of yourself isn't a bad thing. It can be, you know, if you let it get out of control. But you know, analyzing your past actions and thinking really critically about that. It's one of the best ways to grow. Best ways to develop is to look back at your things you've done in the past and having a mindset of having a mindset of being grateful, whether times are tough or times are really good. At least being grateful for what you do have is a powerful way to stay above the water, so to speak.
Yeah.
You good on water? You need any more? We can get you another bottle.
I'm good for now. I'll let you know.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Please do. So I know sometimes it can get talking can really part you.
It's hot down here too.
It is a little hot down here, and it's funny in the winter months it gets freezing down here. It's just a little like it's not. It's actually kind of nice as long as you bundle up. The worst part about it is sometimes we had an issue in the past where it would get cold and we'd be recording episodes in like December and January, and like 30 minutes in you'd start like the sniffles, just because like you're not cold but your face it gets cold, and so you start into the mic, and it's not always the best, but it's what we got, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But oh god,
where are you from originally? Because I don't know anything about you.
I'm
sure he knows, but I don't.
I don't know, actually. I was gonna ask.
Y'all feel free to ask me whatever about that background. I was born in Panama. Born in Panama. Lived a bit of my life there. Moved around to Boston when I was 2. Came back to Panama for a couple of years, and then I moved to South Florida when I was like 6, and grew up my entire life just Broward County, South Florida. Shout out Broward. I had to.
That last song on for demonstration purposes only.
Broward County Oligarch.
Yeah.
That's what it's gonna be. But but yeah, grew up in Broward County, and I went to Florida State, 3 years there, moved out to Atlanta.
So you graduated there?
Yeah. Wow. So I graduated at Florida State. That was for real the best choice I made.
Going to Florida State?
Yeah, going to Florida State.
Yeah, good time there.
Beautiful, bro. It was just like it was funny. I got in the scholarship. I was seeing like this girl at the time, and I was seriously considering. I was like, I got the scholarship to do robotics. like a school in Massachusetts, and I was like, what if I moved to Massachusetts?
Wait, robotics,
bro, and I'm telling you,
where does this come from? Robotics,
bro. So I do a lot of tech.
Okay,
that's like one of my like music and tech.
That's the two halves of your heart.
The two halves of my heart, bro. And I had done robotics in high school towards my last year. And I got this offer like Yeah, just like I got this offer to study robotics at the school. It's because of like Worcester Polytechnic Institute.
Whoa.
I was just like, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I just ended up going to Florida State, and you know, just such a beautiful time. I think Florida State made me a well-rounded person.
Yeah. I could say the same for my college experience. You know, I'm still in school. I'm in my third year. I graduated, 2020. It's my senior year, and I remember going in thinking that like college was like useless and I wouldn't like it and it just wouldn't be good for me. But past 2 years I've definitely, I feel like I've grown a lot as a person, which I can appreciate at the very least. But you got to think about alternate universe Z, who went to Massachusetts to study robotics. You know, where is he right now?
He's like, he's he's working at a big tech company.
Yeah, maybe he's really made it. Maybe he's a millionaire.
He might be.
You watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, the movie.
Yeah, I did. Tripped me out.
Dude,
I remember being in the movie and I was just like, I was mad during the movie. I was like, all right, when is this gonna be over? Because I've had it.
I was getting like kind of like nauseous almost. Like some of those sequences, I was like, Jesus Christ, there's so much visual information happening right now that I cannot handle this.
Such like an art form. Sensory overload.
Yeah. I think that was the goal. That was what they were going for. But I'm just curious, like, you see like a different version of Z who's right now living in Boston in his penthouse apartment,
Google.
We're working for Google.
Google. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I almost went down that path though, bro.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to. I did really well in my major at Florida State. I got this like really good offer to work for Raymond James Financial at their headquarters in St. Pete, and like, bro, I was 2 weeks away from starting.
Wow.
Freaked out. Said, I don't want to be here. Moved to Atlanta. found like a little tech job that, paid me remote, and like, bro, like that was gonna be a whole nother lifestyle. And I would have been down in St. Pete, probably, investing the money I was making those returns, and like, and it just, bro, like it would have been like just a different experience, but it just like, it wasn't what my heart wanted at the moment. And like, bro, shouts to people that like can do like all the tech stuff. I love the tech, but I think I don't look at it too much as like a computational thing. It feels more like art to me.
Yeah. You look at it through that lens. And,
yeah.
And were you like seeing yourself like going down that lane, and you thought that like it wasn't for you, that it would kind of restrict your...
It was like, honestly, I knew my whole life, such an over exaggeration, not my whole life. I knew in college, I worked at the Innovation Hub at Florida State, and like that was a whole place that was dedicated solely to innovation. And like with innovation are like these new ideas that come, you're like at the forefront of technology, and like sometimes it doesn't work out. And like sometimes it does work out, but like either way, if you're focused on innovation, you're never going to be stuck to something for 50 years. You're going to keep moving around. And that's what I wanted to do always. And I remember what freaked me out was like, I had this one meeting and I was getting ready for onboarding, and they were like, did you know the average employee stays here 20 years? And I was like, can't do it.
That one fact got you?
That's literally what like made me, I was just like, I can't do this.
Interesting. You couldn't stand the idea of being in one place.
I couldn't fathom being 40 and like working the same job, and like, okay, yeah, I would have worked my way up the corporate ladder. It would have been cool.
Yeah, maybe you would have been happy, but at the time it just wasn't it wasn't for you.
Yeah, it just like wasn't for me. I just like, I don't know. I'd like to think like I'm working hard enough so like every 6 months looks very different than the last 6. And like I just didn't see like me staying at the same company. Like that didn't make sense. Like for me, that was just like, damn, I feel like I have so much more to offer. And like, I think that's because like I view tech as like I said, more of an arts more of like an arts thing to me. Not like art, but like, I don't know. I enjoy like visual tech. I enjoy like consumer technology, like that front facing, public facing side of tech. And I started doing website development because of it. And, that's been a whole world. But that's like, I guess that's how I'm viewing tech. I'm not viewing tech as like some vehicle for me to make like an it's about building like cool things that I feel passionate about.
And those two things, technology and artistry are increasingly becoming more like combined, more like synergistic.
You want to know my end goal?
What?
I'm trying to literally just be an artist and a developer, and I want those two to not even have a label. I just want people to be like, he does both of those things, and that's okay.
Yeah, there's no separation between the two.
Literally no separation, bro. Like, I wake up and I'm just like, it's either like I'm coding or like I'm making music or like I'm doing both during the day. Like, that's just how like I'm viewing it. And like, it's like also like, I also understand like, there's gotta pay the bills.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
I'd love to work hard enough to get to the point where like I don't have to worry about the financial aspect of it, and I can just create.
Yeah, that's a lot of people's goal, and I mean that's becoming more and more possible as time goes on. 30 years ago, if you had to make that decision between working in tech and just making your money or being an artist, you really had to devote yourself to one thing because the resources weren't there to do both.
And there wasn't that crossover either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and nowadays though, it's fairly simple to do both things at once. Like resources to learn are widely available. We've talked, on the show before extensively about how being a musician, being an artist is a lot more accessible than it ever has been. You can get your $100 snowball mic and some beats online, and you can make music. And so it's just become much more accessible. There's been so many more people doing it, and with how expansive these tools are and how available they are, you're able to be very multifaceted in what you do. And I think that'll be a little bit of a shock when so many of these roles, like you said, you could be a coder and you could be a rapper, in the same day. Though when the walls between those roles like dissolve, and it'll be a very new thing.
No, like I'm telling you, and that's where like, it's so cool. So right now, like what I do in tech. So I quit that job. Very fortunate. My friend launched an NFT collection called MEMS. It's a digital collectible. We don't use that the 3-letter word. People like I think people give it a bad knock. But release this digital collectible and this whole collection based around like the formation of memories, and they're like these cute little like ball things. And it did well, and like, thank God, was able to give me an opportunity to develop in that space.
Yeah.
And I've been just like, it was so cool. We went up to like the NFT NYC conference and like all that stuff, and it's just been super cool, bro. Like meeting people and all that. And long story short, through that's been like the first breathing space that I've found for this like artist/developer thing, because I'm a developer for him.
Yeah.
But then my account's like Z-lister, and like people know, like, I speak about music, digital collectibles and stuff like that. And like, bro, it's just like, I'm finding freedom in that space. And I think like, a lot of people, they might not get it at first, but like, that's okay. I don't need anyone to get it. I just like, I have a good feeling, and I trust that I'm moving about things in the right way with the right intention. So like, that's how I feel about it.
At a certain point, you gotta cut out the noise. But I mean, like NFT, digital collectibles, that is like the perfect example of what we've been talking about. The synergy between artistry and technology. That's is like the thing, and that'll only become more pervasive as time goes on.
And it's crazy because like, in my opinion, like people hate on it, and it's like, okay, very understandable why people hate on it. Like bad for the environment. That's not okay, right? But okay, one of those things, like we work on the Ethereum platform, and actually in about 2 weeks, Ethereum's about to do something called the merge. It's about to reduce emissions by 99.99%. It's actually making it I believe, if I'm not wrong, it basically like it becomes like almost like good for the environment type of thing.
Sustainable?
Yeah, that's the word. Save me.
Yeah.
So it becomes sustainable. So that's like one of the problems. The other issue is with like artists who like, there's just a whole IP thing in that world, and like sometimes people will get their art ripped off and stuff like that. But I think coming from my perspective, like we're not ripping, like we're making art from scratch. So like, I think people give it a bad knock specifically because of I think the people involved, like, there's some people who are just like trying to like flip your art and make money, but there's also genuine people who like believe in community and like they want to see people grow and they want to like invest in you as an artist. So it's been cool seeing a lot of artists be onboarded into this Web3 world and like release like a music NFT, a music digital collectible, and like seeing them like get the financial return that allows them to keep creating art is like the most beautiful thing. And people always are like, damn, like it sucks that artists don't get paid like for every like Spotify stream. Like I'd do something if I could. It's like now you can.
Yeah.
Like now you can. And it's like, I think like Instagram today just rolled out digital collectibles. So like, you know, there'll be like a gradual onboarding of like the masses into this whole world. And like, who knows like what'll stick and what won't stick. But I think the overarching theme in Web3 is like transparency, decentralization. So like with those two things, like with the decentralization aspect, the whole problem with the music industry is that it's centralized. So like with this decentralization aspect, all of a sudden you're giving like grassroots artists like an actual chance.
So, which is so important.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, so it's like this like renaissance of sorts.
Yeah.
And then like I try to like explain it to people, and then like I can't, and then I'm like, oh man, like, you know, and then I'm just like, okay, I guess they'll just, cause it's either like you understand it from someone telling you, or you have a big corporate company like Instagram start launching digital collectibles, and all of a sudden it's normalized.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of view it. So I try to like, I try to tell people what's up with it, but you know, it also has its things, bro. Everything has its things.
Yeah, with something like that, you know, it's new. It's like and with anything like that, there's gonna be the bad actors. You know, there's gonna be the scams and the cheapness and it's and that. But those will come with any new phenomenon in general. I mean, I think I could think of so many examples of a new thing in like pop culture and in the culture, and that always starts out with like bad elements attached to it, and it just takes time for those to fall off because you know, if there's something real there, it'll keep going, and it'll all the fat will be cut off eventually. And in terms of like it's hard when you look past all that and you look, you know, centrally at what it really is, like you just described, you know, it's about getting money directly from your hands into the hands of artists, not having somebody in between that controls all the strings, that controls the lives of these people. When you look at it for what it really is and what it's really trying to do, that's a very powerful thing. And then when you have, you know, bigger actors like Instagram, you know, shepherding it in, that's when it'll start to become normalized. And
yeah, like I feel like, you know, people are just gonna start looking at it as like a normal thing. And I think for artists, like, you know, there's this whole argument within the space. It's like Web3, like music NFTs like are a whole thing. I'm like, bro, they don't have to be like your only, like, just look at it as an artist, like try it out as another form of distribution, because people are like paying money to like, you know, have ownership over this song. And it's like it's like, I don't know, bro, it's just like it's different. It's like it's a form of patronage, and like the people who are there for the art are there for the art, and like the people who aren't and are there for financial gain, they're there for financial gain. And you know, it's night and day with them. You can tell who's who.
Yeah.
So like, just surround yourself around people who are in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, you just gotta tough it out. You know, don't let people dissuade you, even though there's so many voices doing that. But it's really interesting. I had no clue looking at you that you'd just be this huge tech kind of guru. That's a super interesting part of this whole experience. That's super sweet. So, and by the way, you know, with like the Mellow Yellow, you have like the website with it and like the merch like thing. Did you develop that website?
I did.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So I guess, you know, talking about that, you know, mixing artistry and technology, you know, talk to me about, you know, you've had a pretty interesting year. You know, you've released 2 projects so far, and got 3 months left in the year. You know, what do you plan on doing in the future?
So it's funny. This is the first time I'm publicly saying this, but not that anyone's waiting, but it's just funny to me. Like, it's been in my head for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm working on this project called The Rendezvous, and you know, all I'll say is like 10-song project.
Okay.
There will be a short film released with it, and also there will be a digital collectible released with it. And you know, I'm really hoping that it is what I'm like thinking it to be right now.
Mm.
And if I do it right, it'll be, you know, just like a very beautiful thing. I'm putting in a lot of time to it. I'm working with Andrew Strickland right now, and a few other people like Matt Home, and just like getting the studio situation here in Atlanta figured out.
Yeah.
And yeah, just about to build this like world. I love building worlds. That's like the whole thing behind these projects. The Mellow Yellow, the Therapy Tales, like they have worlds.
Yeah. Okay, I have just a slight interjection to make. I was just doing more research before the show, like going through like your posts about your different projects and stuff like that. And I have a question. And it has to do with like, do you play Dungeons and Dragons?
I don't. Yeah. My friends have, but I have never joined in.
Okay. I think you'd enjoy it. You seem like a guy who would. You seem like a guy who would enjoy it. Yeah. Like I've played for the past like 6 years. I currently play every Saturday with our producer Chris.
That's what's up.
And it's just like I'm the person controlling the game, and I am the person who creates the world of the game, so to speak. And so I can understand that desire in your head to create something vast and enclosed, like its own system. And you express like how you're trying to take what's in your mind and like effectively put it into something physical, something real. And I guess that's always the hardest part that I found in that context. And I can imagine it's only more difficult when making music of like from brain to music, like the not losing any of that vision and like trying to preserve that as best as you can. That's always very difficult. You always have this barrier where you feel like you're gonna lose something, and that happens to me all the time. So what do you see that as like an issue that you like have to?
Bro, it is like the like most important, like when I'm like writing, when I got an idea for a song, bro, like I stop whatever I'm doing. It could be whatever, like, bro, like I literally stop. I've been like just most odd places, just like if I hear a beat, if I have an idea, like I gotta sit down and just get the base of the idea down, or like I gotta take my voice memos app out and just like get the voice down.
Yeah,
because that's like the quickest thing. Like there's no such thing as an artist, and no such thing as coming back to that idea like 30 minutes later and you have the same thing, unless you've laid the base down. So like, that's one part of it. The other part of it, I really try to be like, a lot of my songs are like very emotion driven, so like I have to be in that emotion to record. Don't have to be, but just like that's when it's gonna sound the best.
Yeah,
I know for the Mellow Yellow, like, man, like one of the most beautiful things I did was like I was just in this state of like I was meditating daily, and it was just such a great space to be in and such a great space to be reflective, and like the Therapy Tales was like a different time, and it was just like for me it's just like I haven't figured out yet how to like build a project over like a year. Like these themes are like themes in my life and like phases in my life right now. So like I try to like I said, I wrote that song this morning, and I was like, damn, I'm feeling this today. I'm feeling like this today. Like I'm feeling like him today. So I was like, let me just, I knew a friend that told me about the studio. I was like, let me just hit bro up, see what's up. I was like, y'all got a session 2 to 4? Like, yep. Pulled up, got it done, and I was just like, okay, now I can lay that to rest.
Wow. I mean, that's awesome that you get to have something come to you, which comes to everyone who is in like a creative space. You have things come to you, and if you don't grab them right there, then they'll leave you. And so the ability to not only just like document it either just on your own, but then to in the moment create something out of it is pretty sweet. My biggest creative outlet outside of all of this is I love writing, and that goes hand in hand with Dungeons and Dragons. I write stories for that, and that's like my biggest creative thing. I love writing, scripts, and I have a lot, saved up, and I have the exact same thing where when ideas come to me, whether from something from my environment that's doing or just something from within, I like have to stop what I'm doing. I have to pull out my phone and I open a Google Doc on my phone that is like 40 pages long at this point. I've been collecting it for years. I scroll all the way to the bottom and I have to write it down in that moment. And one of the best decisions I ever made as a person trying to do creative things was deciding that I had to document everything, because you always get that whenever something comes to you and you don't let it slip away, you can never get it back, like you said, and you always struggle. You're like, damn, like what was that thing I was thinking about? What was that idea? What was that? What was that lyric? What was that? It's the most painful feeling, because you're like, what if that was the thing? What if that was like the peak of my creativity, and I just let it go. And so I've created this rule that anything that comes to me, I have to put it down into paper. And I'll look back at all of them, and I look back at all of them, and sometimes I'm like, like that sounded good in the moment, but like not as good now. But I'm glad I put it there. And some things I'm like, I was like I'm glad I saved that. Like those are important things to me. And so I can't recommend that enough to anybody.
Yeah, no. It's definitely like, man, it's crucial.
Yeah.
Should I get a little more water?
Yeah. We'll grab you another bottle.
Thank you.
You got
so lit. Y'all were queued up.
Yeah. 45 episodes, 2 years. I understand how parched you can get on an episode like this. That's why I actually the day leading up to an episode, I like chug water. Like I'm drinking like this is like. I mean, I've just been refilling a bottle, not to be wasteful, but like I've drinking like a gallon of water today just to like keep it in my system.
Yeah.
And that's been a big thing too. Like, I mean, it's been coming on. It's interesting. So like for 2 years, I don't know, ever since like February of 2021, I've only been drinking like water. Like 99% of like what I drink has been water. Recently in the last few like months, I've like strayed away from that, but that was like a choice I made because I like wanted to stop. I wanted to like cut caffeine out of my diet, and I wanted to like stop drinking like sodas and stuff like that. And so I started only drinking water. And it had a pretty great impact actually in my life.
Bro, that's like we take so many sugars that we shouldn't be taking, so many calories we shouldn't be taking through drinks. Yeah. That's like the worst way to take the calories too. Yeah. Like through a drink.
Yeah. Like the fact that like, you go to Chick-fil-A and you get like your sandwich and you get your drink. The drink has like twice as much calories as the sandwich itself. And it's kind of a waste. It's like, if I'm going to cap the amount of calories I should consume in a day, I'd rather have that be in the form of like something better or something more enjoyable than just like drinking like a liter of Dr. Pepper.
I will say though, I've done one of the worst things I ever did, which I recommend this to absolutely no one, is like don't okay, but I know it came up to mind because you were like capping on calories, bro. I did calorie counting.
Terrible.
Dude, that's like the worst. That's like if you really want to get down on yourself, just start calorie counting, because goddamn it, like there's like so many different ways to get calories, and it's just like, I don't know, just like I now like, transitioning to a space where I'm just like trying to just get just eating right. I think I was on the move a lot last year, and I was just eating out everywhere, bro. Not the move.
Yeah.
But like now I'm just trying to like, all right, eat from the ground as much as you can. Just like try to get just as many, like try to make as many meals as you can, and just like keep it light. Yeah. No hard settings. Like just keep it light.
Yeah. A lot of things are like that, trying to better yourself. Sometimes the hard route, in the case of eating right, the counting your calories, the looking at every label on everything you eat, that can be really damaging. It can be really like stressful.
Oh, and it's intensive, and it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah. And the stress of that is just as bad for your health, or can be just as bad for your health as the unhealthy habits you're trying to stave off. And so, and this goes for a lot of things, a lot of self-improvement kind of things. It's best to just take it at like a calm mindset, to be open to it. Like, I'll be honest, when I started drinking water, I was at like this like pretty bad like point where I'm like, I'm in school, I'm in all online school. So like, I don't have to be anywhere at any point. Yeah. And I'm just at this terrible schedule where I'm just like slamming back energy drinks and consuming like way too much caffeine and other substances. And I'm like up till like 5 a.m., sleeping till 5 p.m., just like day over day, over and over. And then I just decide at one point, like I need to stop, and I just cold turkey myself. And you don't realize, like, everybody drinks caffeine. It's like, it's completely normal, but you don't realize how much you need it until it's gone. And like for the first 2 weeks after I stopped, like I can't sleep for longer than like 4 hours. I wake up every time in like a cold sweat. Like I'm passing out in the middle of the day. I was going through it. I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? It was really bad for the first few weeks. And there was like cravings. And I was like, I didn't think caffeine was like addictive, but I got better over time. And then it just became part of my routine to just drink water. But recently I actually been straying away from that maybe because like I've decided because I have like a better relationship with it.
Yeah, that's the thing, bro. All these things are just about getting to a better. That's why, like, bro, I felt the same about therapy. I'm like, oh, I got to a point where I'm a better relationship with myself.
Yeah.
Let me just do my thing.
It's never a thing where it has to be gone forever. It's just you have to just be in a balance with it.
Yeah.
You have to have control over substances you use. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna do this every time I have it in my like available like vicinity.
Yeah.
Keeping yourself away from it and stuff like that. Just and
moderation.
That's hard. That's hard for a lot of people. You know, some people have like more addictive personalities, and it's just more difficult for them. But God, that's a big thing. Wow. You know, it's been
1-6.
God, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that like I because the whole week leading up to this, you know, I've been thinking about like, oh God, what am I gonna ask Z? You know, we talked about this and this and this. And then you busted out this whole thing about you being a tech guru, which I just thought was super cool. But
I keep that one tucked. People be like, bro, it's kind of funny. I like sometimes someone's been like, oh man, like it must be like. I remember one time someone DM'd me and I was like, I didn't have the heart to say anything at the moment, but they're like, damn Z, like I really commend you for like just quitting everything and just focusing just solely on this music thing and just like being on your grind and just like struggling. And I'm like, bro, like I'm chilling.
Yeah, right. Like, it's like not the truth.
Like I'm just like I don't know. I want to do it differently. I don't want to like I don't know, bro. I want to stay true to myself. Like I think just like some digital collectible stuff. Like people are like, okay, what's the reasoning? Okay, here's the reasoning. I have a dying love for tech. I have a dying love for music, and there's a crossover.
Yeah.
And I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't like explore this. Also, just loving innovation.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's where I'm at. Let me think. Like I think, bro, like honestly, bro, like it's been such like a crazy year. Like this stuff is all just like just had like this ramp. There's like this it's just like on ramp and like stuff's moving very fast. And right now I'm just trying to be like so grateful for just like I'm just trying to enjoy everything and like be present. And like this is such a cool experience for me. Like I think, where I'm from, I just got back from Panama and like, man, bro, like shit's different out there. There's no starting a business. There's no like becoming a full-time artist. Like, bro, like it's just like the boys are, getting a job and calling it a day. And like, I think in some ways like they inspire me, bro, to have grit and like to be about it and to wake up early and to like get it, Yeah. And I think, they tell me like this shit gonna work. And like I think they get inspired by me in certain ways. So it's like that's like really my why, and that's why it's gonna work. I'm not taking anything else.
Wow, that's a great little end cap right there, and that's really the thing. When you see how certain people live in different parts of the world, leaving like kind of the bubble with which you live in, that can be really eye opening. Can really show you like how valuable everything around you is, and how it's how wasteful it can be to let that all to not like take advantage of everything around you.
No, we're very fortunate. I think we're in the right spot, like for sure to get this stuff done. And like I think one closing note, first, always thank you to like everyone who's ever collaborated with me. Like this is just such a crazy journey for me, and like I feel euphoric about it a lot sometimes. And I'm just sitting alone. I'm like, damn, like so shout out everyone. And I think not more importantly, just closing statement is like, I think my word of advice to any other artist is just like, have conviction. I think when I learned to have conviction around like my ideas and the things I was doing, like the world started giving a lot more than it did before. And conviction is one of those things where it's like, just going about it confidently. You don't have to be right all the time, but like if you have conviction, like I don't know, like things just start working out.
That's a really powerful message. Thank you for that. Z, tell everyone where they can go, follow you, look at your music.
Yeah. So Instagram, ZLSTER. And then and then on Twitter, my Twitter @ is Curate My Mind. And my Spotify is ZLister, ZL STER.
Yeah, that exclamation point was actually stumping us earlier. We were trying to look you up, and we didn't.
Oh my god,
it was just funny. But no, thank you for that, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This is like definitely like one of the coolest experiences like in my life. Like no bullshit.
Yeah, thank you. I that means a lot. That really does. And it's you're going to be our first episode back from a year, and a lot of changes.
Ooh,
and so,
yeah.
And so I'm very excited for that. It's been a long time coming, and it's not been easy, but thank you. Obviously, thank everybody for listening. Very excited for it. But
thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you have coming up in the future.
It's gonna be, bro. It's going to be a beautiful journey. It has been, and it's gonna continue being. And I'm just so excited to see us keep growing. Like, bro, keep running this shit up. Like, this is like y'all boys got something here. I feel like this feels so official. I feel like I just left the No Jumper podcast. Like, no bullshit. And like, I don't know, bro. Like, I see how serious you take this, and it's like same way I take my music, and it's like people see that and then they take you serious for it.
Yeah. What you're saying about conviction, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. You can't bullshit real artistry. You have to believe in it. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in the process. And after an hour and however long, I can definitely see that you have that. And so I'm hopeful. But yeah. Again, thank you for coming on. Thank you all for listening to the Floor 26 podcast. I hope to see you back here next week. But until then, have a great day. And we're out.